Hi, Tony Short, Regional Sales Manager at Ferry Industries. I'm excited to take a few minutes to introduce you some products available at Ferry to aid you in your molding process, particularly with a focus on tools for measuring temperature and automating your cycle. For over 40 years, Ferry has been the industry leader in design and manufacturing of rotational molding equipment. Our products include carousel machines such as the independent arm and fixed arm turret machines, inline shuttles, giant inline shuttles, and rocking ovens. Headquartered in Stow, Ohio, Ferry is proud to say that we are the only domestic manufacturer of rotational molding equipment. Our engineering and manufacturing team consists of over 70 employees and more than 1,400 machines delivered in over 60 countries worldwide. For more than 3 decades, the 5-station independent arm machine is the standard bearer for rotational molding equipment. It is by far the most flexible rotational molding machine in the industry. Its net result is high volume production with 1, 2, 3, 4, and even sometimes 5 arm configurations. Swing ranges are 55 inches to 239 inches and weight capacities are from 1,000 pounds all the way up to 12,000 pounds. You can find more of this information out if you visit our website at www.ferryindustries.com. where there you can see the different style machines as well as some in-stock machines that we are building available for you for faster delivery. Now, the main focus of our presentation is to discuss products available to the rotational molding industry to assist in aiding you in more consistent molding processes. The goal for maximum output and minimum scrap has always and always will be the top objective for rotational molders. Ferry offers 2 products that are proven to help molders achieve this objective: the RotoLog 5.0 Wi-Fi and the Ferry Infrared Thermometry, or IRT, both in cooperation with our proprietary software RotoCure, are these tools. Now, both tools will help produce a consistent part by themselves, but combined they are a proven formula for success. Together, they are a major step to automating the operation of running the machine and improving production. So let us take a few minutes to go deeper into each product. Ferry's RotoLog 5.0 Wi-Fi is a real-time cycle diagnostic tool for quickly establishing optimum cycle parameters for a rotational molding cure foundation. It enables us to see in real time what is occurring inside the mold as it moves through the molding cycle. It ultimately maps the temperature of the environment inside the mold. That temperature record is then programmed and used as the cure cycle or cure recipe for that part, and it is used when running that particular mold in production. It is establishing optimal cure time and temperatures, reducing waste, maximizing part quality, and optimizing production time. RotoLog is for establishing and spot checking cure cycles. It's important to note that. It is not designed or intended to be used for constant monitoring or controlling molding during production runs. Ferry's infrared thermometry, or IRT, provides continuous process control for heating and cooling cycles, making your Ferry RotoSpeed machine adaptive to multiple variables throughout the production day. Some of these include changes in ambient conditions, mold changes, delays at the service station, or potentially cooling malfunctions, all of which require manual modifications to the program cycle. IRT automatically adapts the oven and/or cooling times to compensate for any of these interruptions and assures that the mold exits the oven and cooler at the specified temperature. As the machine adapts, operators can focus on pulling parts and servicing the molds. Having the ability to mold with an optimal cure cycle results in part consistency, less scrap, and more profit. The central nervous system of any Ferry RotoSpeed machine is our proprietary software RotoCure 7. As RotoLog establishes the optimal cure, that data is then entered into RotoCure. IRT takes that data and performs the function of automatically adjusting the oven and cooling cycle, resulting in part consistency. So let's go even a little further and take a deeper look at each individual system. Now, we've established that RotoLog is a fundamental tool in understanding the various stages of the molding cycle. It is a real-time measurement of the temperature inside the mold. Now, this determines, as we said, the optimum cure cycle for ideal part performance and as well minimizes the usage of utilities. When you purchase a RotoLog device system, it consists of the stainless steel canister, the wireless transmitter, a receiver, 4 ice packs, the software, mounting bracket and hardware, as well as 4 thermocouples. Here on this slide, you can see the canister completed. As well, you can see the shipping case in which it is all packaged in. The shipping case is rugged and is useful for safe transportation and storage. Here we can see how the device itself is mounted, whether it's directly mounted onto the mold or directly mounted onto the mold spider. This slide shows us the true value of RotoLog. We are establishing a cycle trace which identifies the key occurrences inside the mold during the molding cycle. Now, as I mentioned, every RotoLog has with it 4 thermocouples, 3 of which that can be used to measure the internal air temperature of 3 different molds on one side of an arm. The 4th has value as well, as it establishes for us a trace of the internal temperature of the oven during the oven cook cycle. That can be seen by the trace line in the back. But the trace line that we want to focus the most attention on is the one marked with the letters A through E. This gives us visibility of the key occurrences during the molding cycle. A establishes for us the moment that the material starts to stick to the heated tool, at which point, as it continues to stick, eventually we get to the letter B, where the material has now melted. We see that the increased vertical line from B to C is that juncture where the material and the mold are now just being heated up, to the point where we get exiting the oven, and letter C shows us peak internal air temperature. We know that this is the critical juncture in the molding process, which tells us that it is now time to start to introduce cooling. We have finished the cook cycle. The cooling can be seen as the decreased line goes down, and we introduce letter D with crystallization of the material properties, and then ultimately E, which is the unload temperature. This establishes for us the optimum cure, in which we can then enter that data into the RotoCure and allow for the handoff to the next temperature measuring tool, which aids us in automating our cycle. Just like in any relay race, one runner, as they complete their leg, takes the baton and hands it off to the next runner. This is the same. As RotoLog completes its analysis and data is established, that data is then entered into the RotoCure, which allows for the handoff to IRT to automate the cycle process for you. In this slide, I want to point to 2 advantages that the Ferry IRT system has over its competitors. One being the external mounting of the sensors on the oven and cooling chamber. We all know how rugged the environment is in the oven and how rugged and wet it can be in the cooling chamber. By positioning the sensors externally to the walls of each chamber, we allow for more consistent temperature monitoring as well as longevity of the product. The other advantage we see here is that Ferry's IRT is the only system that allows for monitoring of temperature within the cooling chamber. Most focus strictly on the oven, which to some degree is understandable, but we all understand how important the cooling process is in rotomolding. The IRT system allows for a closed loop system in these 2 important stations. Here we see a process trending of the IRT in the oven and cooling chamber. IRT is taking and measuring thousands of data points: the oven wall, the mold temperature, the arm temperature. It is taking all of that and computing it into the algorithm. That algorithm is measuring all of these data points and ultimately spits out for us what we call thermal index. It's a non-value added measurement that ultimately tells IRT when to stop the oven cycle and exit. From there, then, it goes into the cooling station where IRT continues to measure the entry point of the mold into the cooler. It will tell you critical points based on temperature of when to introduce water or when to turn water off. In this slide, we see a comparative of the sample process trending in relationship to what actual process trending looks like on RotoCure. This summary right here of IRT shows you huge value. As you can see from cycles 50 to 51 to 114, the varying degrees of temperature in which the mold enters into the cooler. anywhere from 199F to 342F. But yet look at the exit temperature. Based on IRT, we see no more than a 4-degree difference in exit temperature, regardless of what temperature the mold entered into the cooler. IRT compensates for cycle anomalies, and it provides consistent cooler exit temperature, ultimately netting in consistency in your part. Here is a summary of the benefits of IRT. Anywhere from the ability to directly monitor and control the machine, all the way to producing a more consistent part removal temperature. As you read this slide, you'll see that IRT provides huge value to your molding process. I spoke earlier about the central nervous system of our machine being our proprietary software RotoCure 7, which is operable on a Windows 10 OS. RotoCure offers its 5 blocks of process control and data acquisition. And you can see here that is consisting of process management, live process trending, report generation, recipe cure store, and maintenance and fault monitoring. In this slide, we can see how infrared thermometry integrates with RotoCure inside the oven. And on this slide, we can see how it integrates into the cooling chamber. I want to thank you for listening to my presentation, and I hope that it's been helpful in informing you of the products that Ferry Industries offers in either automating or building consistency into your molding process. Now, I want to take a minute to speak about a hot button topic in the industry, which is automation. For decades, Ferry has led the charge in automating your work cell environment, whether it's through the products that I've described already, or leveraging key relationships in the industry with our friends at RotoLoad and their automatic dispensing equipment, or through high-intensity mixers at Reliance Mixers. Ferry has a solution. Along with that, we can offer solutions to help integrate information with your ERP system in RotoCure. We can help with safety systems such as safety scanners or operator platforms. As well, we can also work with integrating robots into the work cell by strategic positioning of the carts and arms at strategic pick points. Regardless of your need, Ferry is ready to solve it for you. We have that solution. So please visit us today, again at www.ferryindustries.com. Take a look at our website, take a look at our YouTube channel, and when performance counts, you can always count on Ferry.